today I am going to be comparing and determining which one of these oils is the densest. From canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, baby oil, and corn oil. Now, I'm gonna observe these oils, and so I am going to observe their thickness, and I'm going to see, and after that, I'm gonna observe and see how they look too, and then I'm going to put them in order from what I think densest to least dense. So, starting with canola oil. Was that this one, I went like this to them to see how they would move in the cup. Now so everyone knows, these are all measured the same. Now I'm gonna weigh them to see if I was right. We get to put it from densest to least dense into here. So, what I'm gonna say is gonna happen, what I think is gonna happen, is since from what we've learned, I don't know for sure if the weighting is correct, but I'm gonna think that that's gonna be the densest, and this is going to be the least dense. I think they're going to stack on top of each other. So, let's see. All of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, vegetable oil. That was sunflower oil, not vegetable. It is kinda not olive oil. Canola oil.
That one.
Was a little heavier while I was going down. Corn oil. That one was also like the canola oil. And then baby oil. I'm interested in this one because it's really the one that doesn't have a similar color and it's the least dense. So, what we can see is that it really didn't do anything that crazy. So, as you can see, it didn't do anything like how it does with water because water is more dense than oil. That's why oil rises to the top of water. If it was denser than water, it would drop to the bottom because it's usually heavier. But it's lighter, so it goes up and floats. So now what we're gonna test is how water reacts to this. With a snap of my fingers, water will appear. Clickety clack clack clack. Water. Okay. We put it in. Ooh, it's pretty, but also pretty cool. Now, as I said, the water goes right to the bottom. Let's get a closer look. So this is very different from how the oil reacts to the other oils. It's very interesting because look at the water, it has a bunch of bubbles in it. And the oil, the bubbles are rising up. And in the water, there's like a little line so the water cannot get out. It's like it's sealed it up. It's too dense, so it's too heavy to float up to the top. What we're gonna do next is something that I don't know what will happen. It is syrup. Looks like enough. As you can see, the syrup went through the oil because it is denser than oil. And it went right into the water. It is kind of mixing with the water, but also not. Because if I bring you over to this side over here, you can see that it's acting that down there. That's happening. While up here is this, but the syrup went down, and this is the result. So, is this anything like my hypothesis? Not really, but let's see if we can put anything more into this. And we're back with rubbing alcohol. Now we're gonna see how this reacts with syrup, water, and different kinds of oils. What I think is gonna happen is that rubbing alcohol isn't too much like water or too much like oil. It's kind of in the middle. So I really don't know what will happen, but I think it might not mix. So, if you can see the bubbles, if you look from the top, you can see that it is very different. And the bubbles even kind of look like it mixed inside of the bubbles. So, the oil isn't too different, but everything else is. And the bubbles are rising. up to make this top layer. So what I think is the least dense is the rubbing alcohol because it went to the top. So the conclusion of this experiment was that all of these oils were around the same density to mix because we did weigh them and they were around the same. And what I did think was the water was gonna react in a different way because it is denser than oil. Because we did weigh the water and it was heavier than the oils. And it was interesting how the syrup went down and even went under the water. So what we can see is that syrup, water, different kinds of oils, rubbing alcohol. So what we can conclude is that the syrup is the densest and the rubbing alcohol is the least dense. And there's not a difference really, but there is a slight difference between the oils. And the water reacts with everything